Hey guys, what's going on? This is Otis here. And today's commentary, what I want to talk about is I didn't do a police video like last week or whatever, so I wanted to talk about this week. I want to talk about speed cameras and red light cameras. I know both of them are very popular throughout the world. In America, you have more of red light cameras, and in Europe, that I think at least you have more of speed cameras from what I've heard at least. I've never been there, so I'm not really sure exactly what you guys have over there. But I'm going to talk about the speed cameras first and what I've had to deal with them. I know when I go down to Arizona, they have those around Phoenix and stuff. And I believe they're set for about 10 miles an hour above the speed limit. Not sure exactly if it's different in Europe or whatnot, but it's just kind of an unfortunate thing too, because it slows everyone down. First of all, you start having a lot more traffic when you have the speed cameras there, because the locals at least start knowing where they are, and so you start slowing down, and so you can have some traffic issues arise from that. And then from slowing down too, if you get people who are on a normal, because typically what they do with the speed cameras is that they'll have them on at the start of a town, pretty much when you're getting in from in Arizona, at least when you're leaving the desert and starting to come into Phoenix. Actually, that's when the speed cameras are, because that's when people are going their fastest or whatever, and they say it's a speed thing. Oh, people need to be slowing down, that's how come we need to have these here, blah blah blah, which is just just total complete bullshit on everyone's part. And what actually happens towards some of these camera traffic areas, or at least where the cameras are, you're actually going to have a lot more accidents than you are whether if you didn't have the cameras there at all. And so, because what ends up happening is you have your locals slowing down, and you have these out-of-towners who don't know the cameras are there. Maybe the last time they were there was no cameras, and so they expect people to go on their 80, 90 miles an hour, which is typical in the deserts at least. And so you'll have a lot of rear end accidents sometimes, and some of the accidents can be pretty bad from people going from that fast, not be able to react, or if they can react, sometimes they'll even lose control if they stop too fast, at least. And so that's kind of an unfortunate thing. I've always been 100% against traffic cameras, red light cameras, and the speeding cameras too, just because it's and government's just trying to make money off of so-called safety procedures, when they do the exact opposite. They create a lot more problems than they do take away and relieve problems, at least. And so red light cameras, at least now I'm going to talk about that, because that's the experience that I've had so far with it in California, because a lot of the local cities, at least in Orange County, have had them before, at least one time or another. And so pretty much what ends up happening with the red light cameras is you're able to go into the intersection until it hits the red light, and once the red light happens, it'll take your picture. And so how that works is once any part of your front of your car goes into the crosswalk, you're considered in the intersection. And so once it turns red, they've got like a little sensor or whatever on the crosswalk or whatever. And so if anything trips it starts recording and stuff, and it'll go and it'll take your picture. And so basically what happens with that is after that, the picture's sent to a lab place, or whoever owns the cameras, and they go and they look at it to see whether it was someone who ran a red light or not. And then once that happens, if they think they were in the red light camera, then they send it to the police department from whatever city it's in. Then once that happens, a police officer goes and looks at it and signs off and says this is a legitimate ticket. Send the ticket to so and so for running a red light, and then the company or the DMV will stop the ticket or whatever. And the tickets are pretty good price and stuff too. I know what ended up happening about like 4 or 5 years ago was the California state government said that it was illegal for cameras to start making a more of a profit, or too much of a profit on the cameras, because what was actually happening was they were taking like 20% of the total ticket and court costs. And so the government came back and said, no, you can't do this anymore. And I think they capped it to like 5 or something percent, and with the exception of cities that were already being grandfathered in, and so with contracts already with the red light cameras. But what was happening is there's a city here called Santa Ana, and it's one of the most they've got the most red light cameras, at least in the United States. I don't know about like the world or any stats like that. And so what ended up happening is they had to have 3 full-time officers on just to look at red light camera tickets like every day. And so what ended up happening is those three, with their salaries and benefits that everything had to be paying, it was about $1.2 million a year just to pay these three officers to look at red light ticket camera images all day. And basically what ended up happening was the red light cameras were only making about $850,000 a year, and so the city was losing about $400,500 on just pretty much just useless just manpower and stuff. And there was also a few other cities around here, you know, Costa Mesa, Newport, and Irvine tried them out, and you know, they came to the same conclusion of, you know, we're losing money. We can't keep doing this. You know, it's about making money pretty much. It's not about safety. And so a lot of the cities actually started taking them out. And I think the only cities that have them around Orange County are maybe Seal Beach and Santa Ana still. I know Santa Ana has them for sure still. But I think they might be taking some of them down, and they might only be placing them in certain intersections. I know LA even took some of theirs out, which was pretty interesting too. Although I don't think what happened with LAPD is they didn't take theirs out. What they ended up doing was they put it for right hand turns. So if you're going down the street and you're making a right hand turn, because a lot of people don't stop, or they stop in the middle of the crosswalk, and so what ends up happening there is if you stop in the middle of the crosswalk, you're technically running the red light, and so they've been giving ticket outs for that, because that's the way where you actually make more money. Or you at least make a profit doing it like that. And so another thing that I've always hated about red light cameras is when I was going through the intersection, you know, you're so panicked and so like worried that it's going to change like yellow and red, because typically what the law says is the yellow light has to be 1 second for every 10 miles an hour. So typically when you're going through the average intersection in Orange County here, it's 45 miles an hour, and so the yellow light would be 4.5 seconds, which is not much reaction time to get to the intersection too, depending on where you are and how fast you're legitimately going and stuff. And so what happens is you have people actually slowing down, and there's a lot more rear end collisions at red lights that have the red light cameras. And I remember looking at a few studies, and it was 3.5 more times rear end collisions at red light camera intersections, which is pretty funny and pretty interesting when you go and think about it, because it's got the absolute reverse effect of safety, and then the cities are also losing money by having these cameras in, although fortunately they're at least starting to take them out now. And so it's just something that's kind of unfortunate, but you know, at least cities are starting to take them out, only because of the budget crisis. And I'm sure once the budget crisis come back in, they're going to you know, probably put them back in, which is kind of unfortunate. But we'll see what ends up actually truly legitimately happening with that once the budgets get all back in order and stuff. And so hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully there's not too many speed cameras or traffic light cameras around your area. I've always been against, you know, it's just unfortunate that the cities go, oh, it's for safety, when, you know, when they start pulling them out because they're losing money, you know, it's an obvious money issue and it's not a safety issue there. But you know, it's just how it is. I mean, everything's a business nowadays, even police departments and stuff. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and thanks for watching, guys.